Do you do classes on Zoom, Prabhu?
No,
No.
the first time I've done anything on Zoom was
Oh.
last Wednesday night doing this.
You are live, so I guess you got it. Start sharing the screen and just share the screen here, and you can go ahead. You can wear it. Voila. Where should I put it? I will check.
Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Vedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pucharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pasatare Satarne. Jaya Shri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhaktavinda. Do you have it with the Bengali?
Oh, I don't think everything got it.
Last Wednesday it was.
It was.
Yeah.
Okay. Then you have to press next. You know how to do that, right?
Hmm?
You read Bengali. You
No,
read translation.
Yeah, I read the transliteration.
Yeah. And then you read translation. Then you do next.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
You
I have
can
to
do
click
that.
the next.
Yes.
I can't push it.
No, it's only this much. After one verse, you have to click next.
Okay, and I use the pad here to click.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, that's good.
You like to read the Bengali. Okay.
So sweet. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mahaprasada Kaila Aishya Sabaloka Gopala Dikiya Sabara Kanda Duka Shoka. Throngs of people came from different villages to see the deity of Gopal, and they took Mahaprasada sumptuously. When they saw the super excellent form of the Lord Gopal, all their lamentation and unhappiness disappeared. Asha Pasha Raja Bhumera Yata Grama Sabha Eka Dinas Sabha Hare Mahotsava. All the neighboring villages became aware of the appearance of Gopal, and all people from these villages came to see him. Day after day, they all performed Dana ceremony. Gopala Katashuni Nana Deshahat Haite Nana Dravya La Loka Lagi La Asite. In this way, not only the neighboring villages, but all the other provinces came to know of Gopal's appearance. Thus, people came from all over. Thus, people came from all over, bringing a variety of presentations. Maturara Loka Sabha Bada Bada Tani Bhakti Kari Nanadraya Beta Dea Ami. The people of Mathura, who are very big capitalists, also brought various presentations and offered them before the deity in devotional service. Arna, Ravya, Vastraganda, Bhaksya, Ahara, Asankya Aishi, Nitya, Badila, Bandara. Thus, countless presentations of gold, silver, garments, scented articles, and edibles arrived. The store of Gopal increased daily. Eka Mahadani Kshatriya Aila Mangira Teha Paka Bandara Kaila Tehata Prachira. One very rich Kshatriya of the royal order constructed a temple. Someone made cooking utensils, and someone constructed boundary walls. Eka Eka Vraja Vasi Eka Eka Gabi Dila Sahasra Sahasra Gabi Gopalera Haila. Each and every family residing in the land of Brajabhumi contributed one cow. In this way, thousands of cows became the property of Gopal. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. This is the way to install the deity. Construct the temple and increase the property of the temple. Everyone should be enthusiastic to contribute to the construction of the temple for the deity, and everyone should also contribute food for the distribution of prasadam. The devotees should preach the gospel of devotional service and thus engage people in practical service to the deity. Wealthy people can also be attracted to take part in these activities. In this way, everyone will become spiritually inclined, and the entire society will be converted to Krishna consciousness. The desire to satisfy the material senses will automatically diminish, and the senses will become so purified that they will be able to engage in bhakti, devotional service to the Lord. Rishikena, Rishikesha, Sevanam, Bhaktiruchate. By serving the Lord, one's senses are gradually purified. The engagement of one's purified senses in the service of Lord Rishikesh is called bhakti. When the dormant propensity for bhakti is awakened, one can understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead as He is. Bhakti mama vijanati yavanyas chasmi tatpataha. Bhagavad Gita 18:55. This is the process of giving humanity the chance to awaken Krishna consciousness. Thus, people can perfect their lives in all respects. Gauda Haite Ata Dui Vairahi Brahmana Purī Gosani Arakilatare Kariyayatana. Eventually, two Brahmins in the renounced order arrived from Bengal, and Madhya Purī, who liked them very much, kept them in Vrindavan and gave them all kinds of comforts. Se dui shishyakari seva samarpila raja seva haya purira ananda badila. These two were then initiated by Mādhavendra Purī, and he entrusted them with the daily service of the Lord. This service was performed continuously, and the worship of the deity became very gorgeous. Thus, Mādhavendra Purī was very pleased. Srila Prabhupada's purport. The six Goswamis and their followers started many temples, including the temples of Govinda, Gopinath, Madana Mohan, Radha Damodara, Samasundara, Radha Raman, and Gokulananda. The disciples of the Goswamis were entrusted with the Seva Puja, deity worship, of these temples. It was not that the disciples were family members of the original Goswamis. All the Goswamis were in the renounced order of life, and Jiva Goswami in particular was a lifelong brahmachari. At present, the Savaitas assume the title of Goswami on the basis of their being engaged in Sevaitas of the deity. The Sevaitas, who have inherited their positions, now assume proprietorship of the temples, and some of them are selling the deity's property as if it were their own. However, the temples did not originally belong to these Sevaitas. Ehe Matavatsara Dui Karila Sevana Ekapina Purī Gosani Ekila Swapana. In this way, the deity worship in the temple was very gorgeously performed for 2 years. Then one day, Mādhavendra Purī had a dream. Gopalakahe Purī Amara Tapana Vijaya Malayacha Chandalipa Pavese Judaya. In this dream, Madhya Purī saw Gopal, who said, "My bodily temperature still has not decreased. Please bring sandalwood from the Malaya province and smear the coal over my body to cool me." Purport. The deity of Gopal had been buried within the jungle for many years, and although he was installed and was offered thousands of pots of water, he still felt very hungry. He therefore asked Madhavendra Purī to bring sandalwood from the Malaya province. Sandalwood produced in Malaya is very popular. That province is situated on the Western Ghat, and the hill Nilagiri is sometimes known as Malaya Hill. The word Malaya Jal is used to indicate the sandalwood produced in Malaya province. Sometimes the word Malaya refers to the modern country of Malaysia. Formerly, this country also produced sandalwood, but now they have found it profitable to produce rubber trees. Although the Vedic culture was once prevalent in Malaysia, now all the inhabitants are Muslims. The Vedic culture is now lost in Malaysia, Java, and Indonesia. Malaya Ana Yana Nilachala Haite Anye Haite Nahe Bhumi Chalaha Farite. Bring sandalwood pulp from Jagannath Puri. Kindly go quickly, since no one else can do it, you must. Swapna Deki Purikos Shanira Haila Prema Vesha Prabhu Agya Palibare Gela Purva Desha. After having this dream, Madhavendra Purī Goswami became very glad due to ecstasy of love of God. In order to execute the command of the Lord, he started east toward Bengal. Sevhara Nirbandha Loka Karila Stapana Agyan Magi Goda Desh Karila Gamana. Before leaving, Madhavendra Purī made all arrangements for regular deity worship, and he engaged different people in various duties. Then, taking up the order of Gopal, he started for Bengal. Shantipura Aila Advaitara Ikare Purira Prema Dehi Acharya Ananda Antare. When Madhavendra Purī arrived at the house of the Dvaitacharya in Shantipur, the Acharya became very pleased upon seeing the ecstatic love of Godhead manifest in Madhavendra Purī. Tanra Tani Mantra Lila Yatana Karina Chalila Tapshine Puri Tanre Dikshadina. Advaitacharya begged to be initiated by Madhavendra Purī. After initiating him, Mādhavendra Purī started for? South India. Purport. In this connection, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur comments that Advaitacharya took initiation from Madhya Puri, who was a sannyasi in the disciplic succession of the Madhya Sampradaya. According to Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, Kiba Vipra Kiba Nyasi Sudra Krena Naya Ye Krishna Takpaveta Se Guru Haya. A person may be Brahman, sannyas, Sudra, or whatever, but if he is well conversant in the science of Krishna, he can become a guru. That's from Caitanya Charitamrta Madhya 8:128. This statement is supported by Sri Mādhavendra Purī. According to the Pancharatra injunction, only a householder Brahmin can initiate, others cannot. When a person is initiated, it is assumed that he has become a Brahmin. Without being initiated by a proper Brahmin, one cannot be converted into a Brahmin. In other words, unless one is a Brahmin, you cannot make another Brahmin. A Grahastha Brahmin, partaking of the Varnashram Dharma institution, can secure various types of paraphernalia to worship Lord Vishnu through his honest labor. Actually, people beg to be initiated by these householder Brahmins just to become successful in the Varnashram institution or to become free from material desires. It is therefore necessary for a spiritual master in the Grahastha ashram to be a strict Vaishnava. A spiritual master from the sannyas order has very little opportunity to perform archana, deity worship. But when one accepts a spiritual master from the transcendental sannyasis, in the principle of deity worship is not at all neglected. To implement this conclusion, Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu gave us his opinion in the verse Kiba Vipra Kiba Nyasi, etc. This indicates that the Lord understood the weakness of society and its maintaining that only Grahastha Brahman should be spiritual master. Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu indicated that it does not matter whether the spiritual master is a Grahastha householder, a sannyasi, or even a Shudra. A spiritual master simply must be conversant in the essence of the Shastra. He must understand Supreme Personality of Godhead. Only then can one become a spiritual master. Diksha actually means initiating a disciple with transcendental knowledge by which he becomes free from all material contamination. Ramunate Kaila Gopinatha Darshana Tanra Rupa Ekina Kaila Vibalamana. Going into South India, Sri Madhavendra Puri visited Ramuna, where Gopinath is situated. Upon seeing the beauty of the deity, Madhavendra Puri was overwhelmed. Nritya Gita Kari Jaka Mohane Vasila Kya Kya Bhoge Lage Brahmane Puchila. In the corner of the temple from which people generally viewed the deity, Madhavendra Puri chanted and danced. Then he sat down there and asked the Brahmin what kinds of food they offered to the deity. Sevara Sastava Deki Anandita Mane Uttama Bhokalage Eta Bhuji Anumane. From the excellence of the arrangements, Madhavendra Puri understood by deduction that only the best food was offered. Yacheta Bhogalage Sakala I Puchiba Taiche Yane Bhoga Gopale La Kaiba. Madhavendra Puri thought, I shall inquire from the priest what foods are offered to Gopinath so that by making arrangements in our kitchen, we can offer similar foods to Sri Gopal. E lagi Uchalina Brahmanera Stane Brahmana Kahitila Sabha Boga Vivarane. When the Brahmin priest was questioned about this matter, he explained in detail what kinds of foods were offered to the deity of Gopinath. Sandhyaya Moga Lage Shira Amrita Kali Nama Dvadasha Mrit Patre Bari Amrita Samana. The Brahmin priest said, in the evening, the deities offered sweet rice in 12 earthen pots. Because the taste is as good as nectar, Amrita, it is named Amrita Kali. Gopinatera Shira Bali Prasidha Namayara Rite Vite Aiche Boka Kahanahi Ara. The sweet rice is celebrated throughout the world as Gopinath Shira. It is not offered anywhere else in the world. Hina Kale Se Moga Takure Lagila Shuni Puri Gosani Kichumani Vicharila. While Mādhavendra Puri was talking with the Brahmin priest, the sweet rice was placed before the deity as an offering. Hearing this, Mādhavendra Puri thought as follows. Ayachita Shira Prasada Alpayadi Pai Swarajani Taiti Shira Gopale Lagai. If, without my asking, a little sweet rice is given to me, Shri Shri Kishore Kishori, Jagannath Baladev, Subhadra Marani, Ki Jai, Jai Jai, Gaurnitai, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj, Prabhupada Thakur Ki Jai. Hey, Sri Bhakti Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. Hey, Chaya Lajapana, Vishnu Smarana Kaila, Hena Kale Bhoga, Sari Arati Bhajila. Madhavendra Puri became greatly ashamed when he desired to taste the sweet rice, and he immediately began to think of Lord Vishnu. While he was thinking of Lord Vishnu, the offering was completed and the Artik ceremony began. Arati Dekhiya Puri Kala Namaskara Bahire Ayalakare Kichuna Tahilara. After Artik was finished, Madhavendra Puri offered his obeisances to the deity and then left the temple. He did not say anything more to anyone. Ayachita Viti Puri Virakta Uda Ayachita Pale Kana Nahe Upava. Madhavendra Puri avoided begging. He was completely unattached and indifferent to material things. If without his begging someone offered him some food, he would eat. Otherwise, he would fast. Srila Prabhupada's purport. This is the Paramahamsa stage, the highest stage for a sannyasi. The sannyasi can beg from door to door just to collect food, but a Paramahamsa who has taken Ayachita Vritti or Ajagara Vritti does not ask anyone for food. If someone offers him food voluntarily, he eats. Ayachita Vritti means being accustomed to refrain from begging, and Ajagara Vritti indicates one who is compared to a python, the big snake that makes no effort to acquire food, but rather allows food to come automatically within its mouth. In other words, a Paramahamsa simply engages exclusively in the service of the Lord without caring even for eating or sleeping. It was stated about the six Goswamis, Nidrahara Vikarapati Digital. In the Paramahamsa stage, one conquers the desire for sleep, food, and sense gratification. One remains a humble, meek mendicant, engaged in the service of the Lord day and night. Madhavendra Puri had attained this Paramahamsa stage. Premamrita, Premamrite Tripta, Shuddha Krishna Nahi Bade, Shira Icha Hailatahe, Mane Aparade. A Paramahamsa like Madhavendra Purī is always satisfied in the loving service of the Lord. Material hunger and thirst cannot impede his activities. When he desired to taste a little sweet rice offered to the deity, he considered that he had committed an offense by desiring to eat what was being offered to the deity. Purport. It is advisable that food being offered to the deity be covered when taken from the kitchen to the deity room. In that way, others may not see it. Those who are not accustomed to following the advanced regulative devotional principles may have desired to eat the food, and that is an offense. Therefore, no one should be given a chance to even see it. However, when it is brought before the deity, it must be uncovered. Seeing the food uncovered before the deity, Madhavendra Purī desired to taste a little of it so that he could prepare a similar sweet for his Gopal. Madhavendra Purī was so strict, however, that he considered this to be an offense. Consequently, he left the temple without saying anything to anyone. The Paramahamsa was therefore called Vijita Sadguna. He must conquer the 6 material qualities: Kama, Krodha, Lopa, Moha, Matsarya, and Shuddha Trishna, lust, anger, greed, illusion, enviness, hunger, and thirst. Granara Shunya Hate Vatikarena Kirtana Eta Pujari Karaila Sakure Shayanam. Madhavendra Purī left the temple and sat down in the village marketplace, which was vacant. Sitting there, he began to chant. In the meantime, the temple priest laid the deity down to rest. Although Madhavendra Purī was not interested in eating and sleeping, his interest in chanting the Mahamantra was as acute as if he were an aspiring transcendentalist rather than a Paramahamsa. This means that even in the Paramahamsa stage, one cannot give up chanting. Haridas Thakur and the Goswamis were all engaged in chanting a fixed number of rounds. Therefore, chanting on beats is very important for everyone, even though one may become a Paramahamsa. This chanting can be executed anywhere, either inside or outside the temple. Madhavendra Purī even sat down in a vacant marketplace to perform his chanting. As stated by Srinivasacharya in his prayers for the Goswamis, Nama Gana Natibi, a Paramahamsa devotee is always engaged in chanting and rendering service to the Lord. Chanting the Lord's holy names and engaging in his service are identical. As stated in Srimad Bhagavatam, 7th canto, 523, there are 9 kinds of devotional service: hearing, Shravana; chanting, Kirtana; remembering, Vishnu Smarana; serving, Padasevanam; worship of the deity, Archanam; praying, Vandanam; carrying out orders, Dasyam; serving him as a friend, Sakyam; and sacrificing everything for the Lord, Atma Nivedana. Although each process appears distinct, when one is situated on the absolute platform, you can see that they are identical. For instance, hearing is as good as chanting, and remembering is as good as chanting or hearing. Similarly, engaging in deity worship is as good as chanting, hearing, or remembering. The devotee is expected to accept all 9 processes of devotional service, but even if only one process is properly executed, he can still attain the highest position, Paramahamsa, and go back home, back to Godhead. Nija Kritakari Pujari Karila Shayana Swapne Takura Seva Lila Vachana. Finishing his daily duties, the priest went to take rest. In a dream, he saw the Gopinath deity come to talk to him, and he spoke as follows. Utaha Pujari Kara Dvara Vimochana Shira Eka Vakiyachi Sanyasi Karana. O priest, please get up and open the door of the temple. I have kept 1 pot of sweet rice for the sannyasi Madhavendra Purī. Gadhara Anchale Daka Eka Shira Haya Tomarana Janila Taha Amara Mayaya. The pot of sweet rice is just behind my cloth curtain. You did not see it because of my tricks. Madhya Purī sannyasi ate, atete asina, tahake ta e shira, shira deha lana. A sannyasi named Mādhavendra Purī is sitting in the vacant marketplace. Please take this pot of sweet rice from behind me and deliver it to him. Swapnadeki pujari uti karila vichara, snanakari kapata puli mukha kaila dwara. Awakening from the dream, the priest immediately rose from bed and thought it wise to take a bath before entering the deity's room. He then opened the temple door. Dadhara anchulatale paya shik shira. According to the deity's directions, the priest found the pot of sweet rice behind the cloth curtain. He removed the pot and mopped up the place where it had been kept. He then went out of the temple. Dwaradiya grame kela se shiralana. Hate hate pune marava purika chahina. Closing the door of the temple, he went to the village with the pot of sweet rice. He called out in every stall and in search of Mādhavendra Purī. Shiralaha e yahara nama Mādhava Purī tomalangi gopinata shira kaila churi. Holding the pot of sweet rice, the priest called, "Will he whose name is Mādhavendra Purī come and take this pot? Gopinath has stolen this pot of sweet rice for you." Purport. The difference between the absolute truth and relative truth is explained here. Lord Gopinath has openly declared herein that he is a thief. He has stolen the pot of sweet rice, and this was not kept a secret because his act of stealing is a source of great transcendental bliss. In the material world, theft is criminal. But in the spiritual world, the Lord's stealing is a source of transcendental bliss. Mundane rascals who cannot understand the absolute nature of the personality of Godhead sometimes call Lord Krishna immoral, but they do not know that his seemingly immoral activities, which are not kept secret, afford pleasure to the devotees. Not understanding the transcendental behavior of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, these rascals slur his character and immediately fall into the category of miscreants, rascals, lowest among men, demons, and those whose knowledge was taken away by the illusory energy. Krishna explains this in the Bhagavad Gita 7:15. Namam duskritino buddha papatyante naradama maya prita gana ashram bhavam ashrita. Those miscreants who are grossly foolish, who are lowest among mankind, whose knowledge is stolen by illusion, who partake of the atheistic nature of demons, do not surrender unto me. Mundane rascals cannot understand that whatever Krishna does, being absolute nature, is all good. This quality of the Lord is explained in Srimad Bhagavatam in the 10th canto. One may consider certain acts of this supremely powerful person to be immoral by mundane calculations, but this is not actually the case. For example, the sun absorbs water from the surface of the earth, but it does not absorb water only from the sea. It also absorbs water from filthy sewers and ditches containing urine and other impure substances. The sun is not polluted by absorbing such water. Rather, the sun makes the filthy place pure. If the devotee approaches the Supreme Personality of Godhead for an immoral or improper purpose, he nonetheless becomes purified. The Lord does not become infected. In Bhagavatam, also 10th canto, it is stated that if one approaches the Supreme Lord even out of lust, anger, or fear, kama, krodha, bhaya, he is purified. The gopis, being young girls, approached Krishna because he was a beautiful young boy. From the external point of view, they approached the Lord out of lust, and the Lord danced with them at midnight. From the mundane point of view, these activities may appear immoral, because a married or unmarried young girl cannot leave home to mix with a young boy and dance with him. Although this is immoral from the mundane viewpoint, the activities of the gopis are accepted as the highest form of worship because it was Lord Krishna whom they approached with lusty desires in the dead of night. But these things cannot be understood by non-devotees. One must understand in tattva, truth. One should use his common sense and consider if simply by chanting Krishna's holy name is purified, how then can the person Krishna be immoral? Unfortunately, mundane fools are accepted as educational leaders and are offered exalted posts for teaching irreligious principles to the general populace. This is explained in the 7th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Anda yantander upaniya yamanaha. Blind men are trying to lead other blind men. Due to the immature understanding of such rascals, common men should not discuss Krishna pastimes with the gopis. A non-devotee should not even discuss the stealing sweet rice for his devotees. It is warned that one should not even think about these things. Although Krishna is the purest of the pure, mundane people thinking of Krishna's pastimes that appear immoral themselves become polluted. Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, therefore, never publicly discussed Krishna's dealings with the gopis. He used to discuss these dealings only with 3 confidential friends. He never discussed Rasa Lila publicly, as the professional reciters do. Although they do not understand Krishna or the nature of the audience, however, Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu encouraged the public chanting of the holy name on a huge scale for as many hours as possible. Shirhalaya Suketumi Karaha Bhakshane Thoma Sama Bhagyava Nahi Tripuvane. The priest continued. With the sannyasi whose name is Mādhavendra Purī, please come and take this pot of sweet rice and enjoy the prasad with great happiness. You are the most fortunate person within these 3 worlds. Purport. Here is an example of a personal benediction by Krishna's immoral activity. By Gopinath stealing for his devotees, the devotee becomes the most fortunate person within the 3 worlds. Thus, even the Lord's criminal activities make his devotee the most fortunate person. How can a mundane rascal understand the pastimes of Krishna and judge whether he is immoral or moral? Since Krishna is the absolute truth, there are no mundane distinctions such as moral or immoral. Whatever he does is good. This is the real meaning of God is good. He is good in all circumstances because he is transcendental, outside the jurisdiction of this material world. Therefore, Krishna can be understood only by those who are already living in the spiritual world. This is corroborated in the Bhagavad Gita 14:26. Mamya mam cha yo vivarajeham bhakti yogana sevate saganan samati gaitan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. One who engages in full devotional service, unfailing in all circumstances, at once transcends the modes of material nature and thus comes to the level of pramana. One who is engaged in unalloyed devotional service to the Lord is already situated in the spiritual world, Brahmabhuyaya Kalpate. In all circumstances, his activities and dealings with Krishna are transcendental and thus not understandable by mundane moralists. It is therefore better not to discuss such activities among mundane people. It is better to give them the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra so that they will gradually become purified and then come to understand the transcendental activities of Krishna. Eta Shuni Puri Gosani Parichaya Dila Shira Diya Pujari Tane Dandava Haila. Hearing this invitation, Madhya Puri came out and identified himself. The priest then delivered the pot of sweet rice and offered his obeisances, falling flat before him. Purport. A Brahmin is not supposed to offer his obeisances by falling flat before anyone, because a Brahmin is considered to be the highest caste. However, when a Brahmin sees a devotee, he offers his dandavats. This Brahmin priest did not ask Madhavendra Puri whether he was a Brahmin, but when he saw that Madhavendra Puri was such a bona fide devotee that Krishna would even steal for him, he immediately understood the position of the saint. As stated by Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, Kiba Vipra Kibra Nyasi Shudra Kanaya He Krishna Tattvaveta Se Guru Haya. Had the Brahmin priest been an ordinary Brahmin, Gopinath would not have talked with him in a dream. Since the deity spoke to both Mādhavendra Purī and the Brahmin priest in dreams, practically speaking, they were on the same platform. However, because Mādhavendra Purī was a senior sannyasi Vaishnava, a Paramahamsa, the priest immediately fell flat before him and offered obeisances. Shirera Ritantatanre Kalila Pujari Shuni Prema Vishtahila Sri Madhava Purī. With the story about the pot of sweet, when the story about the pot of sweet rice was explained to him in detail, Sri Mādhavendra Purī at once became absorbed in ecstatic love of Krishna. Prema Deki Sevakaya Haiya Vismita Krishna Ye in Haravasa Haya Dochita. Upon seeing the ecstatic loving symptoms manifest in Mādhavendra Purī, the priest was struck with wonder. He could understand why Krishna had become so much obliged to him, and he saw that Krishna's action was befitting. Purport: a devotee can bring Krishna perfectly under his control. This is explained in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Ajita jitopya si taistri lokyam. Krishna is never conquered by anyone, but the devotee can conquer him through devotional service. As stated in the Brahma Samhita, one cannot understand Krishna simply by reading Vedic literature. Although all Vedic literature is meant for understanding Krishna, one cannot understand Krishna without being a lover of Krishna. Therefore, along with the reading of Vedic literature, Svadhyaya, one must engage in devotional worship of the deity, Archavidi. Together, these will enhance the devotee's transcendental understanding of devotional service. Shravanadi, Surichite, Karaye, Jaya. Love of Godhead is dormant within everyone's heart, and if one simply follows the standard process of devotional service, it is awakened. But foolish, mundane people who simply read about Krishna mistakenly think that he is immoral or criminal. Etapali namaskare karila kamana aveshe karila puri sheshira bakshana. The priest offered his obeisances to Mādhavendra Purī and returned to the temple. Then, in ecstasy, Mādhavendra Purī ate the sweet rice offered to him by Krishna. Patra prakshana kari kanda kanda kaila Mahiravase bandise tikari rakila. Translation. After this, Mādhavendra Purī washed the pot and broke it into pieces. He then bound all the pieces in his outer cloth and kept them nicely. Pratitina ekakani karena bhakshana kale prema vesha haya abhuta katana. Each day, Mādhavendra Purī would eat one piece of that earthen pot, and after eating it, he would immediately be overwhelmed with ecstasy. These are wonderful stories. Thakura more shira diva loka sabashuni dina loka birhane mora patishta jani. Having broken the pot and bound the pieces in his cloth, Mādhavendra Purī began to think, the Lord has given me a pot of sweet rice, and when the people hear of this tomorrow morning, there will be great crowds. Se baye rakri sheshe kalila Sri Purī se kane gopinate dantavat hari. Thinking this, Sri Mādhavendra Purī offered his obeisances to Gopinath on the spot and left Ramuna before morning. Chali chali Aila Purī Shri Nilachala Jagannatha Deki Haila Premete Vipalas. Walking and walking, Madhavendra Puri finally reached Jagannath Puri, which is also known as Nilachala. There he saw Lord Jagannath and was overwhelmed with loving ecstasy. Prema Veshe Pade Hasena Chegaya Jagannath Darasane Mahasukapaya. When Madhavendra Puri was overwhelmed in the ecstasy of the love of Godhead, he sometimes stood up and sometimes fell to the ground. Sometimes he laughed, danced, and sang. In this way, he enjoyed transcendental bliss by seeing the Jagannath deity. Madhava Puri Shripadala Loke Hala Kyati Sabha Loka Asitanre Kare Bahu Bhakti. When Madhavendra Puri came to Jagannath Puri, people were aware of his transcendental reputation. Therefore, crowds of people came and offered him all sorts of respect and devotion. Patistaras abhava e jagate vidita ena vante tarahaya virata niramita. Even though he may not like it, reputation, as ordained by providence, comes to him. Indeed, one's transcendental reputation is known throughout the entire world. Patistara Bhaye Puri Gela Palana Krishna Prema Patista Chate Sange Kadana. Being afraid of his reputation, Partista Madhavendra Puri fled from Ramuna, but the reputation brought by love of Godhead is so sublime that it goes along with the devotees as if following. Purport. Almost all the conditioned souls within the material world are envious, jealous people, and generally turn against one who automatically attains some reputation. This is natural for jealous people. Consequently, when a devotee is fit to receive worldly reputation, he is envied by many people. This is quite natural. When a person out of humility does not desire fame, people generally think him quite humble and consequently give him all kinds of fame. Actually, devotees do not hanker after fame or great reputation. Madhavendra Puri, the king of Vaishnavas, bore his reputation, but he wanted to keep himself outside of the vision of the general populace. He wanted to cover his real identity as a great devotee of the Lord. But when people saw him overwhelmed in the ecstasy of the love of Godhead, they naturally gave credit to him. Actually, a first-class reputation is due Madhavendra Puri because he was a most confidential devotee of the Lord. Sometimes a sahaja presents himself as being void of desires for reputation, pratishta, in order to become famous as a humble man. Such people cannot actually attain the platform of celebrated Vaishnavas. Yadyapi udvega palaite mana Takarera Chandana Sadhana Haila Bandana. Madhavendra Puri wanted to leave Jagannath Puri because the people were honoring him as a great devotee. However, this threatened to hinder his collecting sandalwood pulp for the Gopal deity. And Jagannathera Sevakayata Tateka Mahanta Sabakeka Hila Puri Gopala Britanta. Sri Madhavendra Puri told all the servants of Lord Jagannath and all the great devotees there the story of the appearance of Sri Gopal. Gopala Chandanamage Shuni Bhaktagana Anande Chandana Lagi Kaila Yatana. When all the devotees at Jagannath Puri heard that the Gopal deity wanted sandalwood, in great pleasure, they all endeavored to collect it. Raja Patra Shane Yara Parichara Tare Magi Karpura Chandana Kaila Sanchaya. Those who were acquainted with government officers met with them and begged for camphor and sandalwood, which they collected. Purport. It appears that Malayaja Chandana, sandalwood, and camphor were both used for the Jagannath deity. The camphor was used in his arti and the sandalwood was used to smear his body. Both these items were under government control. Therefore, the devotees had to meet with government officials, informing them of all the details. They attained permission to take the sandalwood and the camphor outside Jagannath Puri. Eka vipra eka sevaka chantana bahite Puri gosan nira sange dila sambala sahite. One Brahmin and one servant were given to Madhya Puri just to carry the sandalwood. He was also given the necessary traveling expenses. Gatidani Tadaite Haja Patradhare Rajaleka Kaidila Puri Gosanira Kare. To get past the toll collectors along the way, Madhavendra Puri was supplied with the necessary release papers from government officers. The papers were placed in his hand. Chalila Madhava Puri Chantana Lana Satadine Remunate Utarila Gia. In this way, Madhavendra Puri started for Vrindavan with the burden of sandalwood, and after some days, he again reached the village of Ramuna and the Gopinath temple there. Gopinath Rane Kaila Bahu Namaskara Prema Vesri Nitya Kaila Apara. When Madhavendra Puri reached the temple of Gopinath, he offered his respectful obeisances many times at the lotus feet of the Lord. In the ecstasy of love, he began to dance and sing without cessation. Puri Devi Seva Kasava Samana Karilam Shira Prasada Diya Tangre Dikshakar. When the priest of Gopinath saw Madhavendra Puri again, he offered all respects to him, and giving him the sweet rice prasada, made him eat. Rakre Devali Karila Shayala Shesha Rakri Halapuri Tekila Swapana. Madhavendra Puri took rest that night in the temple, but toward the end of the night, he had another dream. Jaya Jaya Shri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gora Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Shri Shri Kishore Kishore Jagannath Baladev Subhadramani Ki Jaya 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 Gaurnitai Shri Vaisaranta Saraswati Ramana Prabhupada Purgi Jaya A.C. Bhaktivinoda Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jaya.